listening to Second Wind with Joyce Buford, where women who are ready to expand their life adventure discover the tools to stop playing small and tap into the courage required to enjoy their second wind. Welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. I am delighted that you are here with us. You know, I always like to bring you the best, the most interesting, the most valuable speakers on this show. And so this show is every one of those. You're going to love it. Our guest today is Patricia Greenberg. The Fitness Gourmet is an expert in all aspects of living life to the fullest at any age. So it makes no difference what age you are. She's going to tell us today how we can be fit for all those different phases that we go through. She is the creator of Eat Well, Live Well, Age Well. And she consults, teaches, and hosts a weekly YouTube show. She also speaks at seminars. So if you don't get to see her on live, you'll get to hear her today. And we're delighted that she's with us. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Joyce. It's so lovely to see you, and Happy New Year.
Oh, it is.
Even though it's February. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we're going backwards in Texas because it's very cold here today.
Well,
again.
Yeah.
And in sunny California, you're probably shirt sleeve.
Gorgeous today. I just went out and did my workout at the park. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
It's about 71 right now. Mm-hmm.
Ah, lovely, lovely. Well, you have a long string of certificates and degrees, and you must have started when you were 18 to get all these done. You nutrition and food science from Queens, culinary arts from Le Cordon Bleu.
Le Cordon Bleu, yes. Mm-hmm.
In Scottsdale, I would have loved to have been there on that one.
Yeah.
Certified culinary professional, and it goes on. Your nutrition as well, but it was the nutrition specializing in aging. So what is the big, you seem to have a lot of emphasis on the aging. So why is that?
So Joyce, it's a wonderful question that, yes, I have positioned or transitioned, if you will, into the aging, the wellness for aging space or arena, whatever you want to call it. But right. I say that now because there's so much interest in it, and there's so much emphasis in science and research going into what I want to say is longevity. Yes. I don't want to say anti-aging. I use the word pro-aging, but really what we're looking at is longevity. And I have recently, I'm working with a researcher, so everybody keep their eyes open for some material that's going to come out, and he studies genomes and our DNA and our DNA sequence, and are we predetermined to a certain age? Is it God-given? Can it be manipulated by science? You know, these are all big questions that we have. Right. And what it's coming down to is everything you do on a daily basis improves your quality of life. And those little baby steps, I think in my bio, I say Patricia Greenberg has bite-sized solutions. And that's exactly what it is. It's the little steps. So I want people to know the little tiny steps you can take now, whether you're 40, 50, 60, 70, or 80, will play a role in your future. And the number one thing we want to do is keep our digestive tracts going. We want to keep our heart beating and keep it healthy. And what we're finding is really critical is keeping our bodies upright. So you can ask me, what should you eat? What type of exercise should you do? How do I reduce my stress? They're all intertwined. Your body is one big package with the larger package, which is the earth and the universe, not to sound too out there. Right. Yes, we all know we need to eat vegetables and fruit and grains, and we know we need to exercise, and we know we need to reduce our stress. So let's break that down a little, because Joyce, everything has to be in joy. Everything has to be done with happiness. And the approach has to be something that you're going to embrace. So if I tell you you can't eat A, B, and C, and you must eat D, E, and F, you're not going to like me and you're not going to like the process.
Mhm.
And is that makings for a happy life? No, you're annoyed all the time, or you're hungry, or you're not satisfied. And that's what leads to the behavior of giving up on yourself, right? So you
Right.
see how it's all intertwined. So the steps, that we take is that eat well most of the time. And what does eating well mean? Again, incorporating vegetables, fruit, lean meats, kick some of that sugar to the curb, the sodas, the candy, the ice cream. Those are the things. When we say moderation, celebrate on your birthday, maybe a holiday, and if you want to have a little nip at night, sometimes I'll have some almonds and high cacao chocolate chips for a little nip when I want to have, if I'm watching TV or something.
Mhm.
So the first thing is that if you want to order a pizza, make sure you put some vegetables on it. If you're going to have, go out to a steakhouse, you really want to enjoy that steak, go for it, enjoy it. Maybe add a little more vegetables to your side dish. So you see where I'm going with this is just putting that a little bit of emphasis in there on how to incorporate it in a little bit better. Instead of going home, I'm going to throw out everything I own and start all over again. It doesn't work. Now, one of the things we're working with in the research I'm doing with the DNA and the genome sequencing, does taking these steps make us feel better today and the next couple of days, or does it have a real effect on our longevity? So those are the studies that are being done now. And I'll tell you how it has an effect on your longevity, is that you not just will do the eating portion because you'll feel better, you won't feel stressed out, you won't feel like you're on a diet. Let's talk about the movement aspect. Movement, let's get away from exercise. Let's get away from hardcore heart pumping, knock yourself out exercise. Just getting up and walking, going to a yoga class. I always say, here's the benefits of walking. Keeping your body upright, again, gets back to basics, keeps your digestion healthy, keeps your heart pumping. And there's one critical aspect, Joyce, I'm not sure if we talked about this last time, but it's called proprioception. And that is your sense of your space in the world. And it's what keeps you balanced. It helps you determine how far things away are, your depth perception, your peripheral vision, what's on this side of me, what's on that side of me, and keeping that awareness going at all times, not hyper alert, but just watching where you're going, pay attention. There's a beautiful tree over there. But if you're on the phone and you're mad and you're angry or you're lonely or you're tired, you're not going to notice the tree and your body's going to get off balance. We've all seen that person walking down the street, gets to a curb and just splat, falls right down. You think, how did they not see that curb? It's 6 inches. Their proprioception's off. So I know it's a big word and I love using it because it's my favorite aspect. Is getting up and taking a walk, enjoying that treat once in a while. Joy, happiness, healthiness, relaxation, all becomes a part of the way you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And the third component is not being alone. So Joyce, how does that tie in? Have community meals, join a supper club, invite people over, okay? Go for a walk with a friend, go to a dog park. First of all, get a dog. That's my favorite companion in the whole world. I'm married and I have my kids and I love them, but that 15 minutes out with the dog does wonders for your psyche and for your body. Let's go to a dog park, let the dog off a leash and sit down at a bench and make a new friend. The feeling that comes from that is just the relaxation. And when you put your body in a state of relaxation, everything works better. Hence, in the long pull, your longevity is enhanced. Now, I can't say you're going to make it till 75, 85, or 105, but every day can become quality of life.
Yeah. Now, I have a question about, can just walking in the neighborhood address the balance issues, or do you have to actually do some balance strengthening of the muscles and doing leg exercises and all of that? Because I went back to the gym for balance. So
Yes.
I wanted to know what else I needed.
Yeah. So that's a very good question. And again, you know your limitations and you know whether your boundlessness, right? If what you're willing to do. So it comes back down to sustainability. So the walk around the neighborhood is fantastic. How about while you're walking, do some upper body movement? Okay. And when you're home, put your hands against the wall, do some push-ups. Make sure, don't do anything dangerous, like get on a ladder without any help, but always keep those exercises that help you reach. There's that fine line between dangerous and taking care of yourself, I always say, right? One of the best exercises that I teach my senior clients is in everybody's house. You have it, I have it. We all have that bookshelf with books piled up, and one day we say we're going to get to it, right? Yeah. Or we have that pile of papers. Oh, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to clean it out. I know very few people that have a house that looks like Architectural Digest. Most people have a pile of something here and there. So one exercise I recommend is taking all the books down off the shelf and putting them back in order. And it's actually enhances your fitness and your balance because you're bending down, you're picking up books, you're putting them back up, and make that an exercise. The other one, that's why I said there's a fine line. Don't get on a ladder so high up that you're going to hurt yourself, but do some lifting exercises. So do you see how we're making our everyday household chores or responsibilities part of our wellness? I commend anybody that goes to the gym and does the real yoga classes, balance classes, the balance balls, all those things. Even if you're young and you're fit, get supervised, get a class and just do it properly. Because younger people tend to just run out and do it without asking questions. So these balance exercises are fantastic. Also, I have a thing about don't go alone. And even people as young as their 50s and 60s are wearing Life Alert and Apple Watches, because if you fall down, and even if it's not an emergency, at least somebody knows where you are. So that's, again, another critical part of it, and it gives you peace of mind. Now we know, too, that being out in nature, just looking at a tree makes you feel better. Looking at flowers makes you feel better. And something I've gotten away from, and I want to share this with the audience, I ran 20 marathons, and I ran 110 half marathons, and I climbed skyscrapers as part of a competitive tower climbing sport. Empire State Building, 86 floors. World Trade Center was 102 floors. And I have friends that do it on a regular basis. This is hardcore, ultra. I'm sorry?
Outside or inside?
Inside the stairwell. Very well supervised.
Yeah.
But you know what I've learned? And I always share this. I'm 62 and I'm winding down. I switched from running to walking. I do stair climbing, but I go to my park and I just do the little stairwells that are in the park. And I spend a half an hour, 45 minutes walking and stair climbing. I hold on to the handrail. I don't do anything dangerous. I maybe walk up to a cement bench and do a few push-ups. So you see that your general everyday activity, you could just throw in a little bit of fitness while you're there. And I consulted with cardiologists extensively on this. Do we get the same benefit from doing a walk with a few staircases and a little bit of balance? And he said, absolutely. Absolutely. You don't have to run a marathon or, do extreme sports to get the benefit and the fitness to enhance your longevity. Yeah. So what I will tell you with that is if your goal is weight loss, and we all know maintaining our weight, that all roads lead to keeping your weight within a reasonable amount, but there's ranges. So we used to think, well, if you're 10 pounds overweight, you've increased your risk of death by 10%. If you're 20 pounds overweight, it's by 20%, et cetera. Well, now we know we're all built differently, and there's a range of weights that you can be at any height. So rather than focus on the weight itself, focus on the activities that you can do and let that enhance your life. And generally speaking, the weight loss will come. Don't expect, you're not going to get back to where you were when you were 20. I got a little lecture about that from the orthopedic surgeon because I'm having some hip arthritis and I'm like, oh, should I get a replacement? And I read, he goes, you're not going to be like a 20-year-old. I said, I don't expect it. I think I'm going to go to sleep at 62 and wake up at 62. So yes. And I am 62 and I'm very proud of it. And I'm proud of all that I'm doing. And I want, again, Joyce, baby steps. Really, they really help. They're tremendous.
Yes. Well, you look beautiful for 60.
Thank you, honey. Thank you.
And happy.
Thank you.
Happy. Yeah. Happiness is a big deal about aging, I think, because
absolutely.
I love one of your comments here. We are all in this together. Aging takes a village.
Yes.
And I want to confirm that. it takes a village because aging is not always fun sometimes.
No,
You make concessions. You realize I've not been on a ladder in maybe 5 years.
I
because
don't blame you.
know
And I
that's,
don't think you should.
you know, so there are just those things that, you used to be able to hang pictures, but now it takes, would you mind coming over and hanging my pictures? But there's lots of professional people out there that would love to hang pictures.
Absolutely. Joyce, on that vein, I don't know if we discussed offline a little bit about this, but I always say, please don't be embarrassed or concerned about asking for help with your health and wellness issues.
Mhm.
And that's exactly, call a young man to come and do your handiwork for you. Don't, the light bulb's out, I'm going to climb on a ladder. Ask for the help you need. If you need a ride to the doctor, if you need somebody to come and help you with your food preparation, all of these services exist. And, hopefully you'll ask a family member. One of my dreams is to set up these relationships where young people go and help seniors and people in need as community service rather than some of the other things. Everything's important. I think, there's a need for everything, but I think that's a nice matchup. I loved talking to my grandparents about when they were younger and hearing. I liked being around older people. Always loved to hear what they had to say. I never shunned them. That's probably how I got into this so heavily. Yeah.
Yes, but you took it a bit forward when you went to the culinary arts, and
Yes.
because I would say you like to present beautiful food.
Yes.
and that's
Yes.
part of the desire there.
Right. I got a degree in nutrition and food science, and I thought, well, how do we get nutrition into the mainstream? And you're right. I wasn't 18 when I started. I was in my 20s, but yeah, I have a lot going on with that. So after my degree in nutrition and food science, I became a dietitian, and I would tell the cardiologists and the doctors, you should really give your patients, tofu and plant-based items and get a lot of that meat. And they just poo-pooed it, and they didn't listen to me. And I laugh that all these years later, this is, what I'm doing. That was in the early to mid 80s. So I went to culinary school, and for a bulk of my career, which was about a good over 20 years, I taught nutrition to culinary students. So I took those 2 degrees, my culinary arts degree and my nutrition degree, and I taught in several different schools, teaching upcoming rising chefs how to make food more nutritious and also presentable. So it has been a very big part of my life. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So if we're talking to somebody that's really starting over, they realize they have a problem, they've got maybe carrying a little bit of weight, but and they have no exercise going at this time. So what is the most important thing that you think they need to? You've shared some baby steps. They're not going to do it all in one evening or one week.
Right.
It's going to be, do they start with their diet? Do their food plan first, and then do the exercise, or do a little both in one?
It's good. It's an excellent question, because we don't want to take on too much. And also when you get older and you're very set in your ways, it's very challenging. Something very, very easy for one person can be very challenging for another.
Right.
So there's 2 things I recommend. One of them is eat an apple every day. Do I sound old school or what? You used to say an apple a day keeps the doctor.
Yes, I like that
You know
one.
what? But you know what we learned in COVID? That apples contain the best compounds to boost your immune system. And a healthy immune system also contributes to the longevity. So, and so that's one thing to start with, an apple a day. Or if you don't like apples, an apple, a pear, an orange, a banana, a cup of strawberries. The darker color the food, the more nutrients it contains. So like blueberries is supposed to be this magical fruit, but it really does. It has compounds that helps our heart health. 1 piece of fruit a day, and just get up and take a walk, whether it's the peripheral of your apartment, if you're in a big house, if you're in a neighborhood that you can go loop around, just take that first step and say, today I'm going to walk for 5 minutes. Next week, I'm going to walk every day for 10 minutes. Following week, I'm going to walk to 15. And most people don't want to wait that long. They step it up. Also remember, you're going to do what you're capable of. And on someone who hasn't worked out in a long time or never did or never ate well, these benefits will actually heal exponentially. So all of a sudden we find, even at any age, I consulted a gastroenterologist about this recently. You can repair and heal your digestive tract after many years of the body says, oh boy, what's that? I'm going to have to accommodate it. And that's how junk food can destroy the lining of the digestive system. But we're beautiful, can get that back. So get an overall physical and see what you need, if there are any medications. Third, last but not least, call a friend, reach out, have some human interaction.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. Let me ask you that one thing about the blueberries. That's kind of my sweet to go to. Sweet. Mm-hmm. I open one of those cartons of blueberries. I keep it in my colander and I just reach a hand in there. Am I abusing it by doing that, or should I be concerned?
A GI doctor told me the other day, he's a young man. Well, by my standards, he's a young man. He's about 45. Yeah. And he every morning, he takes a cup of yogurt and 2 cups of blueberries, which would be 2 of those cartons. And he mixes up the yogurt and the blueberry, and he has that every single day. So could you have 2? I think there's too much of anything. Yes, you're not going to eat 5 containers of it, but nibbling on them every day throughout the day is fantastic. Put it on your omelet, put it on your yogurt, put it on your salad. They go with everything. Yeah. And there's certain foods and combinations. So I like to recommend, barring any allergies or digestive problems, throwing, again, a garden salad. This is so easy. And I always say, everybody, go in your refrigerator, first of all, and see what you have. Right. And most people have even a can of vegetables, a can of beans at the very least, and some salad fixings. I'm big on buying it cut up so you don't have to work too hard, and just do one of those kitchen sink salads and throw a little cheese and a little bit of nuts and a few berries. And the combination of those variety of foods, they help you absorb the nutrients better. So you might think you're eating, just throwing it all together, and you'd never take a picture of it and show it to anyone. But actually what you're doing is highly nutritious. Mm-hmm.
I think one of the best things they've done for us in the recent years is that packaged lettuce mix salad.
Yes. It's brilliant.
I need those. Those are so So, well, we're coming to, okay, no, I have to ask you this. You get in to choose your own path, how you live and how you die. What do you mean, how I die?
So that's a morbid, somber thing to think about, but we haven't cracked that nut on living forever. So we all know we're going to live, and we all know we're going to die. But Joyce, you make choices when you're younger about, how you want to get there. But kind of my one-liner on that is, where do you want to be when the time comes? Do you want to be surrounded by friends and family? Do you want to be turned into a sea rock? Do you want a traditional religious burial? You make that choice, you put it on paper, you get it signed, and you shout it out loud. This is what I want for the end of my life. And you can change those decisions as you go, but I think you get to choose. But I think it's very important you do choose. Do not leave your family and friends hanging. It's very, very important for you to put that down. But you might want it peaceful, and you might want a big shebang. And it's something that you get to choose, and I think it brings you peace while you are alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You also mentioned being engaged in the world. What do you mean by that? Not staying inside, getting outside, being active, or
all of the above? All of the above. There's something for everybody. I am an avid knitter. And so what I've done, especially during the pandemic, is I started to knit scarves for people who had things going on, weren't well, cancer treatments, maybe something going on in their family. And it became a thing, And so now I try to do like a weekly project and get it out to someone. And I have a Facebook page and a lot of interaction. And it has, I engage with other knitters and other people. Okay. Do you like to play cards? Do you like to you like to play bridge, let's say, or whatever it is, the activity, get engaged in the world. Do you like to go to the movies? You like to go to theater? There's theater clubs, there's theater groups. Book clubs to me have been a lifesaver, especially during COVID. If you get together with a group of friends, I have my childhood friends were all over the country. So we have a group that we get together once a month, sometimes physically if I go to my hometown, sometimes on Zoom. And it's just being engaged in the world. That's why I said, when you go for a walk, go somewhere where there are other people, you know. I like the isolation of a mountain climb also, but go somewhere where there's a park or a recreation center, so you can see other people. We're learning now the human touch is critical, physically being around other people, getting a hug once in a while. And it doesn't have to be even a romantic entanglement, right? It can be out with Galentine's Day is getting together with your friends. Men's groups have exploded where men get together and they talk and they do things. Or call a friend. When I come to your town, I'll call you up, Joyce, let's go have a coffee. We'll go for a walk, have a coffee. It could be 5 minutes. It could be 5 hours. Just that little bit of engagement makes all the difference in the world. And you go home and you smile. You had a nice afternoon. And we know smiling and laughing is the best medicine. That calms your body down. It makes you happy. And you know what you're doing, Joyce? You're forming new memories, right? Instead of saying, oh, when was the last time I did da-da-da? It gives you kind of like a new lease on life, regardless of how much time you have left. Yeah.
Well, we're coming to the end of our time together today, but I shared with you earlier that my word for this year is joy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you 2 questions if you're willing to play the game with me. And so can you think of one time, we're just talking about one time that you absolutely were filled with joy?
When my daughter was born. And what I realized at that time, because I was 40 when I had her, is when she was born, I was so filled with hope and promise for wonderful things to come. And that to me was like, there was that moment in time before you felt like, oh, how am I going to pay for this? And what am I going to do? And I'm overwhelmed. Just that moment. And you can get that feeling of joy with a newborn as much as you can with a new friendship or a new hobby or something comes into your life. That feeling of that the world is beautiful and the possibilities are endless can come from so many places. In my case, it was when Gabriella was born, and she's 21 now, and all the trials and tribulations, I still feel so much joy when I'm around her.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, what are the 3 things or 3 tips that you would share with my audience to find joy?
One of my go-to pieces of advice is not to react immediately when faced with a challenging situation. So finding joy in situations that are challenging in themselves, but knowing the difference between something that's a real emergency or something that's going to wear you down, and when your anxiety gets in the way, can mean all the difference in the world between a joy-filled situation and or an angst-filled, right? So, we always say, how did we get here? Whether you're feeling anger or stress or grief, the absolute grief of losing someone can be unbearable. And finding that joy in that moment of whatever you're faced with. And really, one of the best ways to do that is the close your eyes, deep breath. What am I being faced with? And there is a glimmer of joy in everything. I know that sounds a little bit out there, but it is. Remember that joy and bliss are not sustainable 24 hours a day. Learning how to be in discomfort and knowing that discomfort won't last forever will be your foundation for finding happiness. Because that feeling of what do I do? Where do I go? How do I deal with this? If you pull it back inside and say, there's got to be a joyful, happy way to deal with this, you will find it.
Well, thank you very much. I loved having you on the show.
Thank you, Joyce. It's such a delight to talk to you.
Yes. So if you wait a minute, I'm going to say goodbye to my audience.
Okay.
And then we'll finish our little
Absolutely.
So as you know, dear listeners, I always like to give you a little assignment, because hopefully you have learned something of valuable value for you today. And I'd love for you to share that with a friend. So please reach out. There's lots of aging people out there, just moms and dads and sisters and friends and neighbors, and that you could share the second wind with them. And Patricia's message that life can be good no matter what age you are. So I think she shared wonderful, wonderful information for us today. Please go out and share. Thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you much. Have a great week.
Joyce Buford returns next week at the same time for another edition of Second Wind. Through the Joyce Buford Empowerment System, women are receiving the support they need through their transitions and are able to reclaim their true purpose with confidence. They receive the tools they need to map out new lives. You can find out more about her coaching services at joycebufordempowers.com.